record the podcast. The Church of Mavis radio show, Friday nights at 8 p.m., 7 Central, starring Jeffrey Pritchett with his co-hosts Wham and Jay McNicholas, right here on the United Paranormal Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM, New Orleans.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
Well, that doesn't belong there. Welcome, everyone, to the Author's Quill. That's actually a closing song for UFO Undercover, so not sure what it's doing in that cue, but that's cool. I mean, we could have listened to it, y'all. Well, some of y'all might not have known what it was. We have John Goodwin with us today. He's been being bad from what I'm hearing. You know, he's not listening. He's being ornery and stuff, causing trouble in L.A. I don't know what we're going to do. And see, let him go over to Frankfurt for a little while. He comes back just ornery. I don't know, people. I don't know what to tell y'all. I don't know what to do.
Careful.
He's maybe stick the boss lady on you, man.
Exactly.
Well, hold on, I got to stop laughing. Welcome to the show, John. Welcome everyone who's listening to the Author Quill, wherever you are on the planet. I know some of y'all here in the U.S. with us, some over in Europe, some over in the Asian world, some over with the Oceanic, and some down there with Australia, New Zealand, just hanging out listening to us. So hope you enjoy the show, whether it's today or tomorrow. I know some of y'all listen to us on Sundays. If you're in North Korea, listen to us. One of the troops in North Korea listening to us up there in Russia, because now you can listen to us if you're in Russia. I mean, only a handful of y'all could listen to UFO Undercover over there, but now if you're in Russia and you're from North Korea, you can listen to us now. Yes, you can, because we know that we have Russians listening to us over there all the time. So anyway, welcome to the show. Hope everybody's having a good day, good evening, good morning. So John, how's it feel to be back? You're home. You're back in lovely Los Angeles, prettiest city in the United States. You know, it's just gorgeous there.
Yeah.
I like LA, but I don't live there.
Real pretty. It was really nice in Frankfurt. It was, the food was great. I was taken to a real traditional German restaurant by a guy was the publicist for the James Bond franchise. So he himself is German. So this one restaurant was just amazing. It was very old there in Frankfurt. And had some like amazing schnitzel and all the trimmings with it. Super good. I was amazed at the butter though, and it's so soft and so creamy. And the bread, it's real butter. It's like it's not whatever they do over here stateside where it gets so hard. and there it's really yellow, and here it's like a pasty white that we've got, the stuff over here. But it's called butter, not margarine, but the butter. But anyway, it was great. We did really well. The purpose of it, obviously, with the Frankfurt Book Fair is the biggest trade show, and there was like 110,000 booksellers that were there. And then on Saturday, Sunday, where it's open up to consumers, another 100,000 consumers come in, mostly to the German hall, and to buy, books from their favorite authors. You see these book signing lines, and these lines are like, 200 people long, 300 people long to meet their favorite authors and get their book signed.
I imagine Frankfurt's like Utah. They like to read there.
Yeah.
Plus, you got everybody coming in from all around Europe.
Yeah, it was all over the world. Actually, not just Europe. So we had, because you've got, I think it's 103, 105 countries represented. So, and this year, each year there's a different country guest of honor. This year it was Italy, and they get their own hall. Germany has their own hall. You've got a couple international halls. We were in one of them, and there's American hall. And because I was there at the behest of New Era Publications, which is the publisher located in Denmark. So we were in the international hall, and so that was pretty good. And
but how's the English? I mean, I know a lot of those countries we're talking about speak English, but how is it overall?
It's good. There's definitely English is become pretty much the international language, and so it's there are probably some people that didn't speak, but the only ones that are pretty much speaking only one language are Americans. It's like,
because we're arrogant. We're just arrogant.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I'm in Mexico, if I've been there for a couple of days, my Spanish comes back, and I can actually handle conversations and do stuff in Spanish. But it takes a couple of days because I'm not around anybody that.
Yeah, I took 3 years of Spanish. I don't think I remember, but like 4 words, maybe some numbers. If I was around somebody doing it all the time, it might come back.
Probably it would come back like that. But it was great, and it's amazing because we're coming back. It's the recovery post-pandemic. This is like the second or third year since the pandemic, and so it's new people. A lot of people took the time to retire, and so there's new people coming in. A lot of conglomerations. A lot of the big companies buying up the smaller companies, so you got fewer companies there. So whereas Frankfurt Book Fair used to be 11 halls, now it's down to 6 halls because of buying up the smaller companies. So you got these big publishing houses. Yeah. So, but it was very good. I was able to record a couple of podcasts there, which will be coming up in the next couple of weeks, and meet more people and just start working on building up new relationships.
It's always good to meet new people. Reese, if you're having trouble on Roku, you can watch us on Rumble or any of the other videos like YouTube or Facebook. But you got it. Okay, well, you had just posted. You couldn't find it. Yeah, it's in the live section. That's aggravating. I know. I agree with you. Which may be changing in the first week of November. What was that? Somebody had posted something about Frankfurt. Now I lost it. Damn, with y'all Speedy Gonzalez typists. I swear. How many days were you there anyway? 5, 6?
I was there I flew in on Monday, and then when you fly from here to there, I lose 8 hours because it's 8 hours ahead, and then I have a day for setups, and then Wednesday night is the opening ceremony. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 days, which are the trade show, and then Saturday, Sunday, there's a few people there still from the trade, but mostly it's open to consumers. But we went into the show with about 100 appointments. So we stayed pretty busy throughout the whole time period. We had, it was nice. We had 4 awards that we got from 4 different countries for Dianetics, because Dianetics 75th anniversary is next year. It's 2025. It was 1950 that was released. So that was a big thing. It's done well in a lot of countries around the world. So it sold over 22 million copies. So that was a good thing too. So we're working on that. And in Battlefield Earth, we announced 2 new languages, and then we have 2 more that we're ready to release. So it was originally in 25 languages back in the 80s, but now we've gone through and done all new translations. So people are coming back reading and said, wow, this was so easy to read. So it took a lot of work to get the translations done and to have them, you translate, then you back translate to make sure that what you translate is actually what was originally done. And then you just get it proofread to make sure, proofread and several other beta readers to look at it and it apparently makes a big difference with the new issues that we got coming out. So people are saying, wow, this is so great. This is so great. So we're excited about that too.
Yeah, well, if it's a language you want to read it in, pretty soon you won't have to do that anymore. With the new universal translators, they got the new one that you can just put on the paper and scan it, and it reads for you, whatever language it is, up to, what was it, Bruce? 86 languages.
Really?
And and you can put it on you can hold it or you can clip it on your lapel, and it does conversations for you. It's really cool. It's a lot like the communicators we talk about on Star Trek. Not near as compact yet, not quite as smooth yet. But given another 5 or 10 years, you're gonna think you're gonna have a universal translator. They're talking about the new one should be able to clip right here or right here. There shouldn't be any more than a size of a half a dollar, a silver dollar, and that's it. And there should be real light, and they should be able to translate any language, any spoken language on the planet. I find that interesting. I mean, that gets rid of Babylon altogether, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, and it's also Battlefield Earth. It has a scene in there where they have their translator thing, and it just clips on. You have the thing, medallion, they just put over their like a necklace, and then they can use that to translate. Except that one there is intergalactic, but it also applies to Earth. And when they did, it's interesting in Battlefield Earth, the way they did the translations, because of that device, they picked, I think, the Tibetan monks, because it's such a very unique and limited language. That's what they got the Tibetan monks, and they stationed them in all the different camps around the world once the humans were trying to regroup against the aliens, because the aliens, that language wasn't in the translation modules, so they could then do their they could relay messages across the planet, and it couldn't be translated. They couldn't be broken. The code couldn't be broken because it was a very complex but very limited, unique language. So that was, when you get so high tech, you have to start relying back on the low tech things to handle.
Yeah, but think about it. I mean, in World War II, we used who? Oh, the Navajo.
Yeah, exactly.
It's we used Navajo actually for writing code and for breaking code, and they were damn good at it too, apparently. Well, we'd have to do a whole show on it. That's a whole different topic, but
yeah,
it's a really good thing. Jeffrey, yes, it was. Just write to News on the Flip Side. Yeah, you can write to iCarCox.net. Yeah, any of them. Yeah. I know, it's good. What can I say? It's a good show. Where are you, Jeffrey? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Jeffrey. I didn't realize that was Jennifer. Jennifer, where are you at? Where? You in Russia. You're so full of it. Well, I can't, unless I do an IP trace on you, I can't really know. And I'm not going to ping your IP just in case you are in Russia and Putin gets all upset. No, I got a thing called IP sniffer. Yeah. You just hit it. Any IP that crosses your computer can sniff back to its source. But that could be anything. In any server, anywhere, it could be its source. Depends what you're pinging to. Anyway, what's your question? Oh, well, that's just ignorant. Why don't he come to Russia? Because they ain't coming to Russia until Russia behaves itself. I'm sure John would love to go to Russia. All expenses paid to Russia. Go to St. Petersburg, because they probably read what the people in Moscow do. But I think it'd be a great thing, but not until y'all behave yourselves. Come on. Y'all have misbehaved. Now you got North Koreans over there. No Americans going anywhere around that place. Not anytime soon. That's not going to happen. Anywhere in Europe is cool. Well, you can. No, you can just go buy the book. Yeah. I
Yeah, we
imagine.
got Battlefield Earth is available in Russian. That just got retranslated, and that's now available either as an ebook or as a trade paperback book.
Well, if you don't have it in a local Russian store, I'm sure you can get it online.
Yeah,
Uh,
so you can get it on
well,
Amazon as the ebook.
yeah, you may have to look. I don't know how Russia's got their internet set up right now, but you may have to order through a different country and have it sent to you. Yeah, it's sometimes that's what you got to do when stuff's going on like this. Yes, but I haven't. No, 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 no. I haven't read the book. I've listened to. No, actually, it's a lie. I've listened to Mission Earth, and I've seen the movie. But
Didn't you listen about because you played Battlefield Earth like?
oh no, that's true. That's true. That's true. I take that back. John's actually right.
Yeah,
that's actually right. So John gave me, I don't know, about 3 years ago, I think, a copy of Battlefield Earth. It's 44, 48 hours
yeah.
of audio. It's no, it's not just someone reading. It's all the sound effects and everything else that goes along with it.
67 actors, 150,000.
It's good. It's good. Well, it's. What do you mean? It's better than a movie? Well, yeah, it's better than a movie in the fact that it just. All I can tell you, you know what? What are we at? We're in October, so in about 9 weeks, we'll be playing it twice. We'll play it the week before Christmas and the week before New Year's. We might even play it the week after New Year's, but we'll definitely play it the week before Christmas, and then it re-airs again on Christmas Eve, and it plays all the way till New Year's Eve. Yes, and you can listen to it if you want to. I think it comes out to roughly 8 hours a day. Maybe a little less, but it roughly comes out to that. So
the main thing about the audiobook is that it's unabridged, so it's just a straight story. That's you have no director, you have no screenwriter that changes it and tries to abbreviate it. Or when you have an audiobook, you don't have to worry about how much budget do you have for special effects, because the special effects are whatever your mind can create. So you've got then all the voices, and when you have multicast, the way we casted it was, if it's a Scottish voice, we had a Scottish actor. If it was a little kid, like Biddy was one of the kids in it, then we got Nancy Cartwright, who's the voice of the most famous 10-year-old boy, Bart Simpson. So she's the one that did Biddy. But otherwise, whatever voice required, we had a person with that language to be able to do the voice. So it makes it so authentic. And because it's unabridged, you're just getting straight what the author wrote. You're not getting somebody else's take or version on it. And as good as your imagination is, then one thing we learned, or at least one thing I learned, is that when you have a sound effect, if it's the sound effect of that exact thing, it'll elicit that picture. So sometimes in audiobooks, when you have these radio dramas, a gun is a gun. A spaceship is a certain sound. If it's a rocket, it's a certain thing. Well, what we did was, if it's a gun, if the gun is like, especially you found out in the Westerns, but if the gun was a Sharps, we use the sound of a Sharps gun. If it's a pistol, if it's a 22 or a 45 or whatever the weapon is or whatever the sound is, we even went to New York and had a microphone there on Fifth Avenue just to get the sound of what taxis were like. Then we went down to the subway, because the New York subway is different than other subways. So we recorded these things. So in the stories, when it says, if it takes place in New York and they're in the subway, anybody that's from New York or anybody that's been to New York, they'll recognize the New York subway and it'll elicit that image. So that's what we do, so a bird isn't a bird. It's like whatever kind of bird it is, that's the sound that we did. And if we didn't have the sound effect, like I said, before going to New York, we'd create the sound effects so that you got the exact thing. And it makes a big difference on listening, because of that connection mentally, it'll help get the picture when you get the right sound. And then what we also did with Battlefield Earth, the aliens went through a computerized, a synthesized, going through being synthesized. So it had a bit of a different sound to it than the humans. The humans were just totally organic without any filters to it. So that's just so the humans would sound different than the aliens, and it just helps too to differentiate and distinguish the different characters, because obviously when you have that many actors and that many characters in a book, the more you can do to help distinguish helps as well. So that's one of the things that was done to make it. And the audiobook itself won an Audie, which is the highest honor you can get for an audiobook. And we got that after we released it in 2016. And we got it in the category of marketing, because it was an audiobook that increased the number of listeners to audiobooks. And that's one of the main reasons why it won the Audie Award. I was able to get Hollywood Boulevard shut down for a several-hour period, and we set up and crashed a spaceship on Hollywood Boulevard. And we had all the TV networks were there, and we had smokers on it, so it looked like, okay, what's happening here? And then we had the alien Turl coming out of the spaceship, and then Johnny Gilboy, Tyler, and Chrissy came to capture him, and then the Scots with their bagpipes. It was a total fun caper there on Hollywood Boulevard, and it was that was a lot of fun. So that it won the highest award that you can get in audiobooks.
That's fun. Well, again, guys, you can listen to it. It'll be playing.
Or you can buy it too.
Yeah, you can buy it.
Yeah,
you can go buy
I'm
it
a book publisher. I sell books and audiobooks.
And drive around in your car and listen to it, or listen it at home. Listen to it. It's it's better than the movie.
Definitely better than the movie.
I'm just telling you, it's better than the movie. Anyway, I mean, if you're a cheapskate, you just can't buy the damn thing. It's not even that expensive. I mean, literally, if you're a cheapo.
Yeah, if you have an account on Audible, it's 1 credit. It's a super deal. 1 credit for a 47-hour audiobook.
Yeah, so you can go get it and you can listen to it. But if not, like I said, it's going to start the week before Christmas, and then it'll restart on Christmas Eve and run all the way to New Year's Eve, and y'all can listen to it. No, I can't play Mission Earth. Besides, I'm not quite finished with them. I'm a book and a half out still, I think. Oh man, I've been listening to this thing for like 18 months. No, it's not that long. It's 10 books. It's squeezing it into my free time. So real quick, I'll give you a quick rundown on it, because you can get the book.
Yeah.
I don't have any left.
Yeah, you can get the book on Amazon. You can get it as an ebook.
Yeah, so you can get the book. The audio. Shh! Don't tell John that. Just don't tell. He'll get upset. Don't tell him. But I mean, you can get it. But so the first book's a little slow, because you're building up characters. You got to learn who everybody is, who's the slimy people, who's not the slimy people. Anyway, as it goes, though, it actually gets progressively better throughout the whole entire story. It is a lot of fun to listen to. It's definitely satire. That's the best label I can put onto it, because of no, it's not just political satire. We're just gonna say it's satire in general, because there's a lot of stuff they talk about. They get into politics, but they get into business, and they get into a lot of different stuff. There's a lot of different subjects it is just quite a different things. Well, no, I'm not going to tell you all the different things, because it kind of gives away some of the story. So I just be surprised and listen. What do you mean? What is it rated?
It's rated like PG-17. It's not R. It could have been, except everything that could have been. R.
It's close.
Well, maybe some of it, but there's all the foul language is been replaced by bleep. So anytime that someone's going to say some profanity, it just goes bleep. That bleepity bleepered, So that was the way that Hubbard came up with the handling on this thing. So because at first it was definitely an RX-rated story, just telling the story what's happening here on planet Earth. But then came with the idea, okay, if we just take all the stuff that would be X-rated, or that would be like the profanity, and put a bleep there instead, and that handled it. So, but
no, Michael, I would stamp it as PG-17. It just some places, only in very few places, it borderlines close to R. But I'm not talking about R like in disgusting, filthy kind of stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. But we go listen to it or go read it. You'll know what I'm talking about. And if not, wait until I'm allowed to play it, and you'll hear me play it, and then you can listen to it that way. Yeah. I can't tell you, damn it, people. Y'all, Jesus.
You're the one that brought it up.
Yes, but still, I want people to know it's available. You can get it.
You're such a tease.
It is a tease. No, listen now, people. John gave me like 100 of them to give away. Literally, at least 100 I gave away. So shame on you if you didn't get one. I don't know what to tell you. Go buy it. It's like $5 or $10. It's not really expensive. I think it's $10. It might be 20. I don't know. Go look and see. Anywhere you can buy a book, you can buy it. Yes, pretty much.
Yeah.
Y'all are something else today, people. What is we got the half literate crowd here today? Is that what we got going on? And I'm glad to see people popping in on YouTube. Nice to see y'all over there. Yeah, you can see people in the chat with us like Joe and Michelle. Anybody who pops into this chat, we can see it here with us. Anybody who pops into the messenger is just on Messenger. Yes, well, what do you mean? He goes to Frankfurt to sell books.
Yeah.
That's what he's there for. GalaxyPress.com. Look, you don't have to go looking at Barnes and Nobles. You don't have to get out and get in your car, do anything. GalaxyPress.com. Yeah. Tell him Joe sent you and he'll charge you an extra $5. I mean, I'm sorry, I came up the wrong way.
Yeah. So anyway, so that was the last show that we're going to do for the year. We had, so next February is when it all starts over again, where I teach at 2 workshops. One's called Superstars, which is in Colorado Springs. And the following week I go to Utah, to Provo, Utah, and teach at a workshop there called Life, the Universe, and Everything. And then we have Right as the Future happens in April, which you'll be out. Joe, you'll be out to Los Angeles for that.
I'm always see, Jennifer, I am always well behaved when I'm out there. I'm not scared of John. I'm scared of his wife. What are you talking about? No. They know I love all of them because they're a great bunch of people. They really are. It's a shame. I know y'all hear me talk about them from time to time. It's a shame that you don't get to meet them because the way this is set up, you don't get to meet them. But I mean, you get to see John here with me. Excuse me. Every now and then, Emily will stop by and chat with us from time to time. You got to meet a couple of people this year that we were doing interviews with, and Carmen's going to stop by and eventually talk some music with us on News on the Flip Side. Yes, I mean you get to meet them, but it's not like I do. I get to see them in full out, working their ass off mode, and frankly, far more patience than I do. Oh yes, I'd be looking at people like, "Do you want to be here? If not, get your ass back on an airplane." They do a fabulous job. And best way to find out, go to writersfuture.com, submit your illustration, submit your book. Oh, not your book. I'm sorry. It's less than 17,000 words.
Yes, story. All right.
And win. Yes, win. And then if you do win, you'll get interviewed by us pre getting there. And then while you're there, you get interviewed again. And John does several interviews with all kinds of people. No, I can promise you this. You'll get interviewed by both of us probably at least twice. Depending on where you stand and how you want it, at least twice. You might even see 3 times. So you get lots of press out of it. And not just that, there's lots of other press available that you're going to get interviewed by. And when you get to the gala, they get quite a few people show up from the press network that shows up to say hi and get some good pictures. And there's lots of pictures taken, lots of people to talk to. But you got to win. Yes. Or donate $1 million. That might
No.
Damn, you see, I'm trying to help y'all out. So. Okay, 5 million. Anyway.
No.
Damn, you see, he's ain't going for it. What's that, Jeffrey? You mean in person, John's great. Well, some years it's weird for us too because some years we get to spend a lot more time together than we do on other years, and I don't know why. It just works out differently. It really has to do with which one of us are doing interviews late. Is what it really comes to. And because sometimes we can have breakfast together and chit chat before we get started, and sometimes I don't get to see him because either he was up late or I was up late. Yes, well, because interviews run late because the people are busy. Everybody's busy. It's not just because it's not just the winners that are getting interviewed. Staffs get interviewed, judges are getting interviewed, and it's a nonstop going around. And you don't want to keep everybody up too late because they're going to be up early in the morning. But still, a lot of my interviews run after midnight, and I try to keep them at 2 midnight. Is what if I can, I'll try to cut them off at 11. But usually it's about midnight.
Yeah, because all the winners still have a whole day's worth of workshop the next day.
Yeah, they do, and some workshops are more intense than others. Like the yeah, you knew what I was going to say. The 24-hour story, yeah, it's intense. I mean, I haven't posted them, but I will. Not probably for a couple of weeks. Maybe around Christmas I'll do it. So I took like 4 years of shots I've got. The 10 Power asked me to go out and get these shots when these people are writing these books. So I got 4 or 5 years of these pictures. So I'm going to post them all at one time. I'll just I'll put them in groups and label them years so you know who it is. I'm not going to put anybody's names on them. You'll just anybody in the picture is a winner. And some of the expressions on the face are like, it's just amazing. And some are very relaxed. Like Mr. Cool Blue Eyes, he was like, shh. I mean, Mr. Blue Eyes, it's Chris. He was from Australia. Some of them really are cool. Some of them got it together. Some people will tell you that they toured a story at 4, 5, 6 times, woke up at 4 in the morning and wrote it. Because, some years they did it at 2, some years they did it at 8. So it depended where you were. But I mean, people were handing in stories they had done 2 hours earlier. And then yet they all tell me, the judges and John tell me, some of these stories get sold.
Yeah. Almost all of them do, actually.
So, I mean, it's amazing to me to see these guys and girls write these stories. I'm telling you, their faces. And it's so funny when they throw them down the stairs. I was watching. Who was it? He was like, and he's like trying to do some voodoo to make his fall short on the stairs. No, the ones that go to Feathers is the ones they diagnose. They take and they sit down and they go through them. They take 2 of them, 2 stories, and they go through them. And oh my God, it's fabulous. People, you need to win because you can learn more in that 1 week you can in 2 years of school. I'm telling you now, because you're getting taught by the greats. I don't want to take it away from anybody's teachers and that they're not good. It's just these guys, they have been through it. These women, these men have been through all of this.
Yeah, you got like 20 people that are teaching you that are just, they all give you like their specialty and what they've gleaned. But these are all, you'll get teachers, and Hubbard also was never one to extol the virtues of creative writing classes. He's gone there and he actually lectured at one, I think it was at Harvard, and he told them like, throw away your first 100,000 words, 500, and they were just like, he said they were apoplectic, just with like, they were spending all semester writing their short story, and I mean, his composition speed was like 92 words a minute, and he was just writing 100,000 words a month. So he was doing it because he was using that to fund all of his researches and travels. So he was writing 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, and pumping out 100,000 words. And selling, not 100%, but above 90%, selling first time, first submission. So but he'd also pick down the top markets to go for, the top magazines. And so he'd have to use multiple pen names. So he had 15 different pen names. And sometimes there's magazines that have 3 different stories from him with 3 different names, just so that he could have the money he needed for, his travels, because he was a world traveler at a time when people didn't do that. That was early 1900s, that people didn't do that. They didn't travel. He had traveled by ship to China twice by the time he was 19. And so, all the monasteries, and he was trained by them on, their philosophies. And he befriended the head of the British intelligence in China. And so that's where he got a lot of stuff for his Oriental mystery thrillers, so it's just, but he used the money he made to do his own researches.
No, well, that's the way to do it. I mean, because you're going to be traveling and still writing at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not like you can't take the typewriter with you.
We always took a typewriter with him. Yeah.
What's that, Greg? Well, no, today you don't. Well, some people still use a typewriter today, but most people have pads or use voice or. Well, a good friend of mine who tries to write, he's managed to do a couple of things. He does uses the voice, then he gives the voice to the computer, and the computer puts it all on there and corrects everything. Then he proofreads it, and he usually changes a bunch of crap, and then he turns it into a book and sends it into his publisher. He sells about one out of every three he writes. Yeah. And then, what's his name? Yeah, it went right out of my head. Right, I was going to say it. He's a famous UFO writer. He writes probably a book a week. He said he writes 9 to 5. That's how he writes. He gets up in the morning, gets his coffee, has his breakfast, goes, sits down, starts writing. Stops for lunch, eats his lunch, goes back to write, just like a 9 to 5 job. But he only works 4 days a week, not 5 days a week. Yeah. It's he makes a good living. Yes, and sometimes he's producing 4 books a month. Don't ask me. I can't. I've been trying to produce one for 10 years, so don't ask me how he does it. But meeting some of the writers at Writers of the Future, I noticed some of them can write like that. Like Dean Wesley Smith, he can write like a demon. I mean, I think he's part demon sometimes. When he talks about writing books, sometimes I'm like, Jesus, dude, what are you doing? And but once you get in the mode, I get you in the mode, and just you go away. And when you listen, John talk about Elrod, sounds like the same thing. Once he was in that, I'm in the mode. I'm writing. Well, a lot of writers tell me the same thing. Once they get flowing, they don't want to stop because they're in the mode. They're in the mood. Yeah. They're in the. Well, I mean, same thing for artists. I mean, illustrator doesn't want to stop right in the middle of their painting or drawing. You know, because you got to read. You got to pick up from there. It's that mindset you're in that's allowing that story to come out, or that picture to come out, or that marble to come out, whatever you may be doing. I don't know. But you know what? You could have asked Echo. She was on right before us on the professional. Yes, you could have came by and asked her. I don't know nothing about art, but she does. No, John, tell you I can't draw a stick man. Give me a break, man. I mean, come on. You know the game Hangman where you got to draw the stick man. He's outside and shit. Y'all think I'm kidding you? I'm not. I'm serious. I can. Because of these guys, I've learned to sort of kind of write. I don't know. When I'm with them, I can actually bang out 12, 15, 18. When I'm at home, I'm lucky I get 500 words. It's even when I'm off, it's just too much other stuff going on in my life. When things calm down, maybe so. When I become filthy, stinking rich, then I'll hire a writer and I'll just tell him what I want him to write. Hey, I know there's ghostwriters out there, so whoever said that comment, don't give me that BS. I don't hear that. Actually, we're going to have an author joining us in about 10 minutes, but what are you talking about? No, you can't just go knocking on the door and going in their place. What are you, nuts? You can go to, you're talking about the museum. Yeah, you can go to the museum. You seen the interview with John and I and Chelsea. That's what you're talking about, right? Oh, yeah. Chelsea's a sweetheart. No, she is, but she's tall enough to kick your ass, so you better stay in line while you're there. No, it's a great. I enjoyed it. It was a good tour. I didn't get nothing. I got to go when nobody was there. That was nice, but I mean, it's the same tour anybody else is going to get. Chelsea's really nice. The whole staff was really nice. Yeah. And you see, she did a good interview. She was sweet. Oh, y'all don't know. I tortured this poor girl to death, man. Y'all just have no clue. I torture her. If she could get away with it, she'd smack me. Her and Sarah both, I torture both of them. It's no, I don't torture Joni because Joni will hurt me. I'm scared of Joni. No, she's a sweetheart. I'm telling y'all, if you win, you get to go. You'll get to meet them all. They're all very nice people. Extremely hardworking. If you had a business, this is the people you'd want working for you. Yes. Will you write a story, Michelle?
Yeah, anybody that's got a speculative fiction, so that means it's science fiction or fantasy, not horror, but like dark fantasy is fine. Alternate history, just anything that's speculative on it, up to 17,000 words. The sweet spot is maybe like 4,000 to 6,000, and it's PG, so no F word, no F bombs, that type of thing, and no gratuitous sex or violence is allowed. There are markets for it. That's just not Writers of the Future market. That's all. And you can you maintain rights to your work. Once we publish it, you can then publish it wherever else you want to, and that applies for both the writers and the artists. And it's because of the as it's evolved over the 40 years, we're ready now. We're compiling volume 41, which releases in April. Is you've got the first level, which is just thank you very much for submitting, please resubmit. But then once you get beyond that, you get honorable mention, and that's like the top 10%. And then you got silver honorable mention, you got finalist, and then you've got silver, and then you've got winners. And so when you get up to that, as you move up, you're going to be able to start getting responses from the judges when you get up to the finalist category, so that you get, okay, here's what you can do to specifically for your story. As an honorable mention and silver honorable mention, we have special emails that have been called by the judges. Okay, these are the points that you need to check on to take your story to the next level. So it's inspected to see which one of these, it's like 10 points that it could be. And then you can adjust that. We also have a free online workshop that we recommend people take. When we launched it, all of a sudden the number of honorable mentions and entries just rocketed up because the quality of stories really improved a lot, because this gives this is the technology of how to write short stories, how to write stories actually, but how to open a story, how to handle dialogue, how to do the middle of a story, how to do suspense, how to do an end of a story, how to do the wrapping up all the ending of it. So it's like 13 different videos, all the different pieces of writing a story that you can watch, and you can then do any of them as many times as you want to once you signed up for the course. And so we've had, it's over 9,000 right now. So it's been very, very successful, and it's made a big difference for a lot of people on their storytelling. So that's something that we do. And then obviously we have the podcast, and this show helps as well because we get all types of other authors on here, which we'll have again. The person's coming on in the second hour was a guest on the podcast a few weeks ago, and really good stuff. Jessica Brawner, she's married to a guy who is one of the most successful screenwriters in Hollywood. And anyway, so Steve Sears, really good. The A-Team, Swamp Thing, those about half a dozen different really famous shows in the 80s and 90s. He wrote all the stories for, really just amazing. And
Michelle, just put your life story on a spaceship, and you can write it like that. You said you want to you want to write your own story. Well, just that way it'll be sci-fi and you can submit it. You see what I'm saying? No,
that's right.
It's just, I always tell people, when people ask me, because I get a lot of people ask me about Writers of the Future, I always tell them the same thing. Just think PG-13 when you're writing the story.
Yeah. And the story's got to be speculative. It's got to have some speculative element that's seen in the first page or two. Otherwise, it's not clear that science fiction or fantasy. So it'll get rejected right away.
So I was told by 4 different authors there to put the ending first. Just very ending and nothing more, and then start the story after that. You know what? I didn't really think about it until I came home and I was watching TV, some of the sci-fi things I've watched, and realized that quite a few of them put the end first. No, these are people I would take their advice from, because they're brilliant. And they have movies to their claim from their books. So those kind of people you got to pay attention to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good writers there. I shouldn't say good, a lot of great writers there. A lot of good stories come out of all these people. That's not all men. I mean, the judges, no, they're not all men. Actually, the coordinating judges, female. Both coordinating judges, by the way, are female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that happens for anybody that's curious, you bring this thing up of just all guys, something like that. The judging all the judges see is a number and a story. We have no idea. Last year, one of the quarters, all the winners for the writer and the illustrator contest were female. It's like we have no idea. It's just because all they see is a number assigned to the story or the art. So once it's decided who the winners are for that quarter, then we find out, okay, who's this number? And so it's amazing. We don't know which countries, which nationality, what ethnic, anything until the number comes back and we take and then the contest administrator says, okay, this is number 456 or whatever it is. And then we know who it is. So sometimes it's all female. Sometimes it has been male. Sometimes it's all American. Sometimes it's all from foreign countries. We've had winners from 50 different countries. So
actually, Cindy, that's one of my favorite things about the blind judge. Oh, no. You don't take John's word for it, because I asked the judges. No, I asked, shit, I can't even tell you how many judges I've asked. It's got to be over 20 now. Might even be over 30. Which one of the questions I ask them, even though I know the answer now, I still ask the question because people are going to hear it on the interview. First thing they say is it's blind judge. They say, oh, well, we get a number. We don't get to see. We don't know if it's guy, girl, squirrel. We have no idea. It could be a freaking alien as far as they know. All they get is a number and a story. That's it. And it doesn't matter whether we're talking books or art. It doesn't.
Right. It's funny. Sometimes a winner will come up to a judge and say, hi, my name. I was the one that wrote blah. He says, nice to meet you, because I have no idea. Your name means nothing to me, because all I ever saw was the number in the story. So then they actually meet them. That's who they are. Just to answer Michelle, the videos, if you go to writersofthefuture.com, you can go to a free online workshop, and there's all the different videos that you can actually sign up for the course. It's free. And you register for it so that you can keep on going back and forth to it, and you can go back to it as many times as you want to. Once you're registered, you can go back however many years. It's not a problem there. And the thing about the course is it has application matched with the study, so that by the time you're done with the course, you've actually submitted a story to the contest too. It's gotten you actually writing a story. So when you finish the whole course, if you do all the steps, you will have written a story. And it doesn't mean that it's a great story, but you've actually done it. You've accomplished what a vast majority of people have never done, written a story. So
it works. I've taken the course 3 times, but I had some encouragement. I'm not going to mention her name or nothing, but I had some encouragement.
Yes.
No, actually, I would go take it. No, because it's like the second year I was down there with him. I had realized after taking the first course, things that I didn't understand, things that were actually holding me back a lot, was filler. How do you fill the story? How does someone come up? I'm walking down the street and it's sunshiny and it's 8 o'clock, blah, 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 blah. I never understood that. I could tell you a story, but it would be more kind of factual than it would be, or it'd sound more factual than anyway. After taking a course, I actually understood what they meant and how you went about coming up with that. Where you got the information for that, I guess, it would be a better way of saying it. It helped a lot. I ain't gonna lie. But it's there for anybody who wants to take it. It's absolutely free. Yeah, you can go over there and take it. As far as I know, you can take it as many times as you want. Or you can take it, stop, start, then get the story. Now you can submit the story, but I have no idea. I would take the course 2 or 3 times, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of information there. And even in the videos, there's quite a bit of information that comes out of the videos. You got some very famous people there that are going to be telling you how to do things.
Like Orson Scott Card is one of the guys that he does several videos. He's the person that wrote Ender's Game. Tim Powers does a lot of several of the videos too. He's the one that wrote On Stranger Tides, that was made into the Johnny Depp movies, Pirates of the Caribbean. There's Dave Wolverton, David Farland is his pen name. He passed away a few years ago. very unfortunate, way too young. Had several New York Times best-selling books himself, fantasy, epic fantasy. So they all cover all aspects of storytelling. And then we have about 10 or 11 essays that were written by L. Ron Hubbard, which are as appropriate now. I talked to several of the winners. Like, what was your favorite essay? I said, oh, I love this one, or I love that one. And because it's very much applicable still to a career as an author, what he did, because his whole thing was that was his livelihood as an author. So it was important to work it, to be the best author and to use that to pay for whatever he needed to. So other winners that want to make a career as an author, take that advice to heart, how to do that, so that they could then, as soon as possible, phase out of their day jobs. They can just be a full-time author.
There's a Randy Luce. We're gonna read a guess in just a minute. What? Where are you? Burlington, Mississippi. Is that where you are, Burlington, Mississippi? Oh shit, you're not even like 5 miles away from me. Maybe no, probably more like 15. Yes, I'm on the coast right now. I'm in the pass, sitting on the bayou, looking at the water. Yes, enjoying my day, talking with you and John. And pretty soon we're gonna bring Jessica in just a second. So anyway, what's your question? Since you're just typing away like a, I can tell who the real geeks are when they come in because they can type it like 5,000 words a minute. I mean, literally, it's like, and y'all gotta remember the screen's only this wide, so when y'all typing it much, it just shoots it up way faster. Well, I can't put it like that because I have to see everything else. But anyway, what's your question? I mean, who designed it or why? Anyways, question basically is, John, he wants to know why or who designed the idea of going with blind judging and not just regular judging, like an open judge contest.
That was a proposal that was done by the contest coordinator at the time, and Algis Budrus, and proposed to L. Ron Hubbard, who approved it. And the reason being was to level the playing field. So if it's not blind judge, then you can say, okay, my dad's Stephen King, so you're going to give, because you don't want to have something that's going to make it. A problem with contests is they'll look at a winner that's going to bring more publicity to them, and that's something that they'll go for, is how can you get more publicity? And so that's not our thing. That's my problem. It's not the problem of the winners. The winners, we just want to have anybody who's got talent to have an equal opportunity. So if someone is the son of Stephen King, and he was an honorable mention in Writers of the Future, Joe Hill, because I talked to him a few years ago at an American Library Association. Are you familiar with this contest? Oh yeah, I entered. I got an honorable mention. So we had that, and then you get someone else who's like, Joe Barnes. Like, who's that? Well, he's the guy that just worked at it. And some people, the one person has entered 47 times before winning. But then you have some people too, like Kevin Anderson or Robert Sawyer, who are all like major international best-selling authors, or Brandon Sanderson. They pro'd out, meaning that they disqualified themselves after entering the contest and could no longer enter the contest. So that happens too. But the reason for this, and this is why the judges are so supportive of it, is like it levels the playing field. Everybody has an equal opportunity. And because now you can upload your story online, it does. Even if you're a poor, starving artist, you don't need to have to pay for, the print, or pay for the, hey Jessica, or pay for the postage to send it in. So now you can just upload it at no cost. So it's made a world of difference. And that's, we have people, we've had entries from over 175 countries now.
So, well, Jessica, you've experienced this. What do you think?
It's a fantastic contest. I myself entered several times, probably about 10 years ago. I've, since moved out to LA and had the privilege of seeing the awards ceremony and, all of the great writers and illustrators that have come out of it. And it's one of the few writing contests that I actively promote when I'm talking to people about this, because it doesn't cost anything to enter. And there are actual prizes. And then also, the week that you guys do with the writers and the illustrators is such a good educational opportunity that it's just a fantastic contest.
God, we sound like we're related. Damn. Well, anyway, no, there's because I mean it's pretty much how we run around when we're talking. Except I gave John a real hard time for a little while. You were probably much nicer to him than I was. It's Jessica Brawner. Did I get your last name right? Because I'm really bad about butchering last names.
That is correct, Jessica Brawner.
Okay, and then so she's with us. She's experienced this firsthand. So y'all can all say hi and. So wait. Now, start with the questions. Hold on. Sorry, just for some reason I got messengeritis tonight or something over here. So they just right off the bat, somebody writes right off the bat. Well, what book was she in? And that's always some crazy question that people write. Yes. I don't know.
She didn't. She's not a winner. She
that's what I was getting ready to say.
wrote out. The book that I had read when I interviewed her a few weeks ago is called Tattoos on Dead Tree Flesh, which was when I finally understood the significance of that title. I went, wow, Dead Tree Flesh is paper and tattoos is the ink that gets printed onto the paper. So Tattoos on Dead Tree Flesh is like, wow, how clever is that? But I loved it. And she selected a series of stories and just like she says, start from the beginning and just go through in sequence. And it's amazing the story she's telling me. And all of a sudden you go like, oh my word, I know what she's doing here by the very end. It was amazing. She's written fiction, nonfiction. She's written a lot of urban fantasy and steampunk tales, and then a lot of topical books of improving social conditions. So just made a real fun interview, and she's such a lovely person.
So they just all right, John, behave yourself. No, did they just like pop into your head? I mean, I always ask authors the same thing because it's every author tells me pretty much a different story of how they became an author or where the energy comes from to write. Same thing with the illustrators. I mean, it just seems to be different, but I'm always curious to what your source is that pulls it up. I mean, is it just something you've had since you were a kid or something one day you said, you know what, I can do this. Watch. I mean, you're a pro, so you got to be damn good at it. But I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I started writing seriously about 10 years ago. I was dating an author and he needed to finish a book. And so he suggested we go on a writing date, which really means sitting at Starbucks, not talking to each other for like 4 hours while we sit and type. And I was like, well, okay, we could try this. It's new. It's different, whatever. And as it turns out, I really enjoyed it. And since then, I've got probably 10 books that I put out over the course of that time period. Not dating that particular person anymore, but really that's what launched me into the journey. And then getting into where do the stories come from? A word, a phrase, a location can really spark the journey of, well, what if this happened at this location? Or what does that phrase mean to me? And how can I really turn that into a story? That's where a lot of the stories in this particular book that I just put out, Tattoos on Dead Tree Flesh, are a lot of them are location based, places that I have personally visited, and as I was there, something happened or some story came to mind while I was at that location, writing it and putting it together.
That's interesting. What's it? One of the people in the chat said, "Well, that's how I write it. I see something or smell something or taste something, and I'm off writing away." It don't matter what I see, man. I still can't write. Y'all just get over it. They're just giving me trouble because I can't write a book. That's all. It's so I mean, any particular genres you want to stay in, or do you feel open crossing a bunch? Because I know some authors I talk to are like, oh no, I just want to write in like these three. And then some I talk to, oh no, I just want to write about every damn thing I can think of. So I'm just, well, I mean, I can't help it. Some of them are like that. So for you, how is it? I mean, is it in between or something, or?
I really like urban fantasy and I'm really enjoying steampunk, but there are several other genres that I want to try out. I don't have any books planned yet, but cozy witches is a genre right now, which is kind of interesting to me. And then, as John mentioned, I've also got several nonfiction books out, and so I'm thinking about some new nonfiction books as well. But I think the only genre there's a couple of genres that I'm not super interested in. Um, like heavy horror is not my thing.
Don't blame you.
Cyberpunk is not really my thing. But other than that, I mean, I like the challenge of exploring new genres because each one is slightly different or wildly different, depending on which area of the spectrum you're looking at.
Right.
So Lorraine is from Los Angeles, California. She said she's the bottom line of a Z-Gen, and she says, "What the hell is steampunk?" That's exactly how That's exactly how she wrote it.
So, steampunk is a fictional genre typically set in Victorian era as if the Industrial Revolution never happened. So, everything is powered by steam. There's a lot of mechanical things to it. So, cogs and, wheels, and, how can you make that happen together with physics as opposed to just internal combustion? And then, typically, traditionally, it also involves airships, balloons, and transportation primarily using that as their instead of airplanes.
Exactly. Yeah. That was interesting enough. That was one of the co-creators of that genre is Tim Powers. He wrote an essay. He was actually one of the earlier writers of feature volumes. He wrote an essay on talked about how steampunk came to be.
Oh, that's really
created. Cool. Yeah. So I forget which volume it was in, but it's very interesting how Rise of Future specifically heralds a lot of because it's been around for 40 plus years now. You can usually see future trends in science fiction and fantasy because the winners in half a dozen years are going to be the main names you're reading, big names you're reading. And you kind of go, wow, okay. So what they're writing them, because when you win, you're not bound by any style. It's like you're fresh. And then once you build yourself up, sometimes people will stick, like Stephen King. I mean, he's got I don't say a shtick, but he's got, this is what he does. And he's known for that. And you got other people like Brandon Sanders. He does his epic fantasy. And you've got these people that do their different things and they become kind of like known. So when somebody wins, they move on. Like Pat Rothfuss, he was a winner in volume 19. So what he brought to the table was a certain kind of epic fantasy. Nadia Corfor was also in volume 19. She's got her African futurism that she does. And so it's the same thing like with, when reading your stuff, like, wow, it was very unique reading you, from other stories I've read. Wow, it's not like somebody else, so as you grow as an author, it's going to be, this is Jessica Brawner. And, so I know what to expect with your stuff. And because I enjoyed it, I'm going to look forward to your stuff when you finally come out with more novels.
It's in the works. I finished the outline and I'm starting book 2 in my series next week, actually.
Good.
So what kind of nonfiction do you write? Because I do read a lot of nonfiction, so I'm kind of curious.
Well, I
maybe put the lightsaber on you either. Okay. Go ahead.
I am enjoying the lightsaber, by the way. I have 2 nonfiction books out. One of them is a book called Charisma Plus One. It's a guide to convention etiquette. I've got the 2nd edition out this year. And so I've worked at and attended and paneled at science fiction fantasy conventions for probably since 2000, 2001. And it's really a book that's sort of a love letter to the fans to how to have a better convention for yourself, how to be more aware and socially aware in the spaces where there's a lot of people. And I try to do it with a light hand, with some humor in there. It's D&D based, hence Charisma Plus One.
Mm-hmm.
How do you up your charisma stats when you're in these environments that can sometimes be overwhelming and stressful? Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the ones that I put out. And then the other one is called Booking the Library. It is actually a book for professional musicians and authors and entertainers who want to work with public libraries. And how do you do that? How do you, get those shows? What do the contracts look like? What's your timeline? How do you find the information? That sort of thing. Because I used to do that in a past life, so to speak, prior to my current career.
In the past life. I might have to have you bring you on one of our other shows to talk about those two. Because we cross a lot of topics on the network, and we do and go to a lot of different conventions. We have 40 hosts that are into all sorts of stuff, and they're constantly they're all spread out all across the country, attending everything you can think of, or sponsoring anything you can think of. Like the managing station, she sponsors a paranormal UFO conference in Toronto. So, yes, Jimmy, our manager's in Canada. Thought you would know that by now. Sorry. I've only talked about it 100 million times. But really, we host a show called News on the Flip Side, where we talk about a lot of different topics. And anything nonfiction like that would probably fit into some of the stuff we talk about over there. Over here, it's different. We just do authors in general here about whatever the author wants to talk about. Well, and we do throw in an illustrator every once in a while because Echo threatened my life, so we have to throw in an illustrator every once in a while. But other than that, but no, because I'm always curious because I used to get to read a lot of fiction, and then my schedule's changed. So most of the stuff I end up reading these days is nonfiction, just something that I may be personally interested in. Like I caught myself of all things reading about the Jim Jones massacre. I had no idea what I was reading. I was 2/3 of the way through the book. And then I was pissed. I'm not kidding you. I had to read the rest. I'm like a vampire. I had to go all the way to the end after that. But it definitely gave me a different view of the massacre. I will say that. There was all kind of stuff I didn't know. Apparently, I was ignorant. Chris. But see, that's why I always tell people a good cover can sell a book, any kind of book. Over the years, I've bought some books that I wish I wouldn't have looked at them covers. You bad illustrators, evil illustrators out there. But then, of course, there's been a lot of good ones too. So I don't want to take away. I don't read near as much as John does, though. He's like, Jesus. He's probably got half the library stuck in his head. Yes, if they ever wipe out the library in LA, we'll just come find John. we got it now. What's that? What is that, Jenny? Where are you at? Denver, Colorado. How are you doing? Is it cold up there yet? It's just getting a little chilly at night. How's it going? Getting a little chilly in the daytime too? I was in Denver last year. Yes, I was. Checking out. What do you got for us? Well, she just told you she likes to write. That's what she does for a living. She's a professional writer. So, all right, I'll ask you. That's a dumbass question. So, anyway, she wants to know if somebody offered you a lot more money than you make writing, would you take that job instead?
If someone offered me a lot more money than I make writing, would I take that job? Well, if I was still able to write, probably. But it really depends on what the job is, because definitely not just anything.
Do you have a job in mind, like what you're talking about, like a nuclear scientist or something? What people? I guess we're getting close to the holidays, aren't we? I can tell the eggnog has started to run. I can tell by the questions that we are definitely getting. I know John was the one in Frankfurt. Jessica said she's in Cali. Out there in that polluted state. Yes. Actually, y'all give Cali a bad rap. I got to be honest with you. I've been going to Cali pretty much every year for the last 14 or 15 years for different things. In the last 5 with Writers of the Future. I don't find LA to be that bad. It doesn't really stink. It's not all foggy or nasty. Always seems to be. It's a little chillier than I thought it was at night out there, in April. But hey, the people. Maybe it's kind of I'm from New Orleans, but the people are really nice there. I tell people I'm from New Orleans. They're like, "Hey, how you doing? Let me buy you a drink. You hungry?" I was like, "I'm telling you, I'll give LA a bad rap, people. I'm just telling y'all." I know. I never thought I'd be defending LA. I know. Who would have ever thought that in a million freaking years? Now, I will tell you this: I wouldn't go wandering around. But this is advice I tell anybody in any city: either find a local to take you, show you around, or make sure you're with at least 2 people besides yourself. because you don't know what you're walking into. You don't know where you're going. You don't know how the neighborhoods change. See, in New Orleans, you might be walking around a multi-million-dollar neighborhood, and then all of a sudden, you in a bad one. Sorry, you got to be careful. Jimmy Galeese, where are you from, Jimmy? New York City. Hey, what you doing up in there, New York, New York? He wants to know why in the hell would you move to California when you could move to New York? I'm
Well,
sorry.
I have visited New York. New York is lovely. You can't see enough sky.
That's the truth. Don't ask me because I'll tell you. The reason I don't live in New York is because I live in on the Gulf Coast and it's much prettier down here. Yes. I used to live in the city. I live in the I don't know what I guess I live in the bayou is where I live now. I live in between two cities. Yes, there's like one on each side. Okay, I'll ask her. So Stephanie, she didn't say where you're from. Stephanie, where are you from? Oh, Sacramento. So you're from California too. She wants to know, when you get a chance to read, what is it that you like to read?
Well, I read a lot of urban fantasy, which is one reason why I enjoy writing it, I think, as well. But right now, I'm actually reading a book called Heroes Avenue. It's not in my usual genre. It is actually a book about military families and the families who end up, staying behind on base. And so it's a really great book. I'm really enjoying it. Definitely outside my usual genre, though.
Yeah, that's what's that, Christopher? You got to change sometimes when you do a lot of reading. You got to kind of change it up sometimes. You don't want to get stuck in a rut or get boring or well, with John, people just send him books all the time. So now sometimes he's reading Ron Hubbard stuff. Sometimes he's reading other stuff. It just depends what he's doing. But it's different.
Well,
And
after I interview, I have to read a book before I'll interview them. So like I read Jessica's book before I interviewed her. I've gotten through 4 books in the last couple of weeks because I had several interviews I'm scheduling up. I was taking advantage of my trip to Germany to and from to get through some books. And so I'm getting ready for more interviews, and I make notes. And it's always interesting too, because authors aren't used to having an interviewer actually read a book.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, so they're like, see, yeah, when you said this or when they did that, like, and somebody said, like, you actually read my book. I said, yes. It just makes sense for a much better interview, because then I said, so he said this, and this. And with Jessica, I had, notes as I was reading through it, because I go through a lot of books and sometimes they'll collapse on me. So I will go through and make notes, and I make those as questions as I'm doing the interview. And it really makes for a much more engaging interview, asking about this. And because Jessica's her style, it was interesting. She had this one story called New World Order, and I was just like, wow. And I looked it up, and it was the Intercontinental Hotel here in Los Angeles. There really is a 73rd story that's a restaurant, and then how it came to be. So it was really interesting just getting that, her story behind that story, because she says it's based on places where she's been. And so it panned out when I asked different things there. Oh yeah. So, this, and there was another story she wrote called A Soul to Save. And it's just, it's just fun how she does different stuff, different takes on, like, she'll take a trope and all of a sudden turn on its head, like, wow, what fun. Because she's definitely that kind of a person too. And she, along with her husband, who's been a good friend also for many years, Steve Sears, and just that type of a storyteller. They're just like real fun, and it's going to be, a good ending somehow or another, which is what I prefer. If I want something's going to be a bad ending, I can always just turn on the news. So,
Now, we don't do bad endings on my new show, by the way. We do good.
Yeah, no, but that's, so I'm not into those types of stories. I don't want something that's going to give me some type of moralistic thing, like, well, it's not fair to think that, like on the, what was that one, the really famous was where the protagonist at the very end, she dies in the very end of the last book. anyway, it was like we got to the end, like, oh no, and just like Emily, when my wife was reading, she threw the book down, says, I can't believe that she dies, and like that was that, So I don't like those types of books. I like something where it is okay that you can have a good ending. It's just today's society has gotten so entrenched in like, negativity. We need to turn that tide, and so people like Jessica helps to do that.
Well, thank you, John. You were just saying all sorts of nice things about me. You're going to make me blush. I mean, you're fantastic too, And I really enjoy all the stuff you do to promote the authors, particularly the contest winners and everything that goes on there. But other authors as well. So,
yes,
we need.
Yes, Michelle, it's a wolf. It's a lightsaber. I'm sorry. I've been getting people asking me in both chat rooms if it's a lightsaber or not. Yes, I want to see the help. There it is. I'm just playing with it, I just feel like playing. It's in case Bob the alien gets out of trouble. He causes some shit sometimes, so we have to watch him. Maybe die to cut his head off again.
One thing that's special about Jessica too, her husband is a world-class screenwriter, like I mentioned at the beginning. So how does that work? Because your storytelling, he's really got a good sense of voice. Has he helped you? Because your voice was very clean and very easy to follow in your stories.
Oh, Steve is fantastic in helping me with a lot of the aspects of my storytelling. He's a television writer primarily and is moving now into novels in terms of writing. And so he is really excellent at character development and character arcs and really defining how characters stay true to their voice. And so he helps a lot on that. And then helping to, enhance my plots that I write out. So I have, I'll do my first pass on a plot. And if I get stuck somewhere, I may hand it to him and be like, why am I stuck here? I don't understand. And then he will help walk me through how to make the plot better as I'm, enhancing my own writing craft. And so he's been really helpful in that. He's known for, such TV shows as Xena Warrior Princess, The A-Team. I can't even name all of the ones, Riptide, Hardcastle McCormick, a whole bunch of other ones. And so he has a vast experience in making sure that the plots are there, they make sense, and really with the character development as well. And so that's been really helpful. We're working on a few writing projects together as well. And so I'm looking forward to being able to share those with everybody once they are ready for being out in the public.
Well, that's awesome.
When they're ready for human eyes, people.
Exactly.
Well, that's got to be interesting, though, writing with your husband. It's got to be different. I know some people that couldn't write together, they'd probably kill each other. No, don't get me wrong. I know some people that could write together, but I know some literally they would probably kill each other. They'd be like.
Well, Kevin Anderson and Rebecca Mester, they team up and they've done several books together and very successfully. So I know there are some, that's one specific one that I know them, and their successes on that stuff. I'm sure there are, like you're saying there, Joe, where they're.
A particular genre y'all are writing, or you don't want to tell us yet?
Yeah. The novel that we are currently plotting is another steampunk novel, but it's a more steampunk, but set in the American West as opposed to Victorian England. So it's a little bit different in that capacity.
Are their names Artemis Gordon and Jim West?
No. But I can't tell you their names or it'll give away part of the plot. So
okay.
But
that's an example that somebody knows what that is. The Wild Wild West. That was steampunk.
Yeah, true. Actually, that's a really good common or popular example of steampunk that is very relatable for people. So.
Yeah. Yes, Chris, the giant spider running around. Yes, that was the last movie.
But
the whole series was like that.
Steve and I actually do a. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I was just.
Steve and I actually do a panel on working with your significant other and how to do that, without ending in divorce. That's one of the more popular panels that we do at conventions, where we bring in us and then we have some other friends. Actually, Rebecca has been on that panel with us before, from Rebecca and Kevin. Yeah. And we have another couple of friends out here in the LA area who work together as well, who are married.
That's cool.
So
We need a big excuse for women. I'll be right back.
Well, it's interesting because I know a good friend of mine, him and his wife been writing together. That they only write together, by the way, and they've made some pretty good money over the years. And then they had kids. 4 kids, not 1 kid, but 4 kids. I said, y'all made too much money. It's like, what do you mean? I said, you have 4 kids, y'all ain't making any more money now. And she's like, she said, yeah, because anytime we sit together, try to write anything, there's some child there. So now they write separately whenever they can, and then they send each other stuff on the computers or on the phone to read. Oh, it's kind of funny. But I know they got a new novel coming out this month, so I was kind of surprised. But they write more like love mysteries and stuff. I can't read them, so they're good friends, but I can't. They're like, Joe, proofread. I can't read that. That's it. I'll explode, man. I can't go to sci-fi, steampunk. Most stuff that falls under those genres or the sci-fi genre I can read, but to be honest, I prefer audiobooks because of the lack of time I have.
Yeah, it's really helpful with the audiobooks and being able to listen while you're doing other things.
It is because if I'm working on a computer, so I'm posting archives, or if I'm working on a station, or even if I'm writing bids for one of my customers from my construction company, I can listen, and I'm just typing away, listening. To a matter of fact, I messed up one time. I was sending something to a customer for a remodel on his apartment complex, and in there I typed in 1 paragraph of what I was listening to. And he writes me back, and he goes, Joe, what is this? And he sends it to me. I'm like, oh shit, sorry, man. I was listening to something while I was doing a job. He's like, well, what was it? It sounds interesting. I said, I'll send you a copy later on. But it's just easier for me. And plus, a lot of times I got like an hour and a half drive back and forth to work, so I can pop it on the stereo and listen as I'm going. That's how I've been listening to Mission Earth, all 10 books of it, just as I'm driving along. What's that, Bruce? No, you can't get everything in audio. You can, if you listen when I was talking to John about the Universal Translator earlier, they've got a new version coming out that you can scan a page with it and it will read it to you. Or you can scan it and it'll send it to your computer if you want to read it in text. Yeah, you can do either one. It's I don't know. I know the audio version is up to 80 different languages it can decipher, but I don't know if the reading version is up that high yet. But I know last time I heard it was at least 40. Yeah, you just put it on the thing and scan it up, and it's Bluetooth. It's not like you got to have a cord or anything. It goes right to your computer or your phone, and you just read it. Yes. Well, I would prefer to just put it. If I'm going to do all of that, I want to listen to it. So that's what I'm going to do. If I wanted to read it, I just read it in the book. Jesse, y'all get in that argument every week. Tactile sensations versus not. Some people want to feel the book.
Mm-hmm.
No, my wife wants to feel the book. I got all kind of pads. She could read till she fell over with pads. She don't have nothing to do with it. And she wouldn't have to wear glasses with the pad, but she's still, nope, give me the book. That's just how it is. And then, oh no, we lost, I don't know, 3,000 books doing Katrina, maybe 4. We had a Linden library at the house. And all of them autographed to every one of them.
Oh.
It was, and except for the ones we had, well, even those were autographed, just not to us. We had some from like 1711 and 1698 shit. It's just,
oh man.
Well, no, it actually, Jeff, they didn't get wet. So I got lucky. My house was raised the lot was raised. I had a duplex, and we got about 6 inches of water in the house. Didn't get on anything, but 6 inches on the floor. But the moisture was so heavy in my house, the books swole. Expanded and knocked the sides of the shelves off.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you couldn't read them. Book this then was now like this. It was ridiculous. It sucked. Now we've got about 400 of them back, maybe 500. I mean, from people sending us stuff in the list. Oh, you mean travel and location? So Brian wants to know: can you like if you're traveling, you just see something, or do you like to travel to a specific spot, maybe to get inspiration? California's a beautiful state.
California is an absolutely gorgeous state. I travel quite a bit anyway, and I always have. I just like going and seeing new things.
Road baby.
And so, Steve and I, a couple years ago, we actually did a road trip all the way around the United States, 10,000 miles, driving in our hybrid electric Jeep. And it was a wonderful way to see the country. And actually, that's where the inspiration for this book that, we're working on together came from, was on that trip and bouncing ideas around, as we would see things, driving through Utah or Colorado or, the Badlands. Badlands is beautiful, by the way, if you haven't been up there.
Yes.
But it's rare for me to go to a place to find inspiration. I go to places because I'm interested in going to the places, and then I find the inspiration once I'm there.
Yes, I have traveled, I think 40 or 44 states now. I love driving across the country. Matter of fact, last time I went to see John, I drove up to Utah instead of flying, which would have been cheaper for me to fly, by the way. Oh no, Bruce, it's cheaper to fly. So out of New Orleans to LA, 2 tickets round trip. It's cheaper because when you think about, we drove for 8 days. I didn't want to take my car, so I rented a car. We had hotels coming and going, 7 nights of hotels. Yeah, you add all in, and it's cheaper to fly. Trust me. And no, but it's beautiful because like coming back, we've seen Devil's Tower. I will tell you all this. I decided to drive through Montana like a dumb person. I ain't going to say what I was going to say, but I figured we drive through Montana, cut straight down the middle of Colorado. Don't do it, people. Don't leave Utah and drive through Montana because there's nothing. It makes Texas look exciting. I'm telling you. it's oh no, it's nothing. It's all you see is these things with these snow blocker things and antelope. That's it. There's nothing else. And occasionally, like one of these emergency housing cases, you get flocked in from the snow, which tells you shouldn't be driving on these highways. There's like 500,000 people in this state, and it's big. It's a big state. So I just want to warn y'all, if you want to see just like what looks like wheat fields, antelope, and these snow blocking things, take that route. The other route's actually prettier because it goes through Moab and all, which is
well, if you're like a UFO guy, then absolutely.
Oh yeah, because they got that place up there too.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped. It's funny because when I was in Colorado, I stopped at 2 different places. So I walk in the hotel place. The guy had looked at me. He looked over at me and said, "Can I ask him for his autograph?" I'm like, "Why didn't you ask me?" And she goes, "I don't know. Joe, you're kind of look intimidating sometimes." I said, "Yeah, you can have an autograph, dude." And then we stopped at some restaurant to eat. And the waitress asked, "Can I have your autograph?" And I was like, so anytime that happens, I know something dropped, something that I've done somewhere along the line has come out, because they never tell you anymore when they release stuff. People hate when they do that. But because a couple times on a trip I got asked, that just means that something on Discovery or Sci-Fi or somewhere along came out while I was traveling. What's that, Raymond? Yeah, it just happens. But it's weird. It's weird because you don't expect it. Yes. But that makes the trip more fun anyway. But if you do go, people, I would say, go up the interstate. There's a big UFO place at the end of the interstate, and then cut across, go through Moab place, through Moab, and then come back down through Colorado. That way it's prettier. There's way more to see. There's lots of beautiful mountains and stuff. Going through Wyoming, you're just going to be like, oh my God, let me shoot myself now. And people, I'm not hating on y'all in Wyoming. I love you people, but Jesus, your state is boring.
So Jessica, while Joe sticks both of his feet in his mouth here,
I get over it. It's boring. Don't hate on me.
So when you do your traveling, do you have a particular theme in mind, like where you're going for, or just like, oh, that I wanted to see? It's the world's biggest rubber band ball, like in the middle of Kansas, or this is the biggest string ball that's in the middle of Nebraska.
Well, it was interesting. For the first half of the trip, we had to plan it out because we had a timeline of I had to be in Atlanta on a certain date. And so for the first half of the trip, we planned out very specifically where we were going to be when. And, we definitely took some detours along the way. We went and stayed out in some teepees in West Texas, down near Terlingua and Big Bend National Park, which was beautiful.
God, lucky the hogs didn't eat you.
Well, that's a little bit more in the central side of Texas. I'm from Texas originally, so.
Oh, okay. So you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, and I gotta say that they are awfully tasty. But
or that.
So for the first half of the trip, we had a pretty defined timeline, but then for the second half of the trip, we didn't. And so for the second half of the trip, literally we'd be driving along, it'd be getting late in the day, I'd be like, okay, gonna look and see where's a hotel, where can we stay, what's interesting around here. Found an interesting app that helped us on the trip called I think it's called Roadside America, which you see some really strange things driving along the back roads of America.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this is an app that will identify those things for you. So,
that's cool.
like out in
Now,
West
Bates
Texas,
Hotel, for example.
yeah.
There you go.
And like, we're driving through West Texas near Marfa, which is a little town out in West Texas, and you come across a Prada store in the middle of nowhere.
Prada.
A Prada.
It means somebody out there got money. That's all that means.
It's an art installation, actually.
Oh, is it?
And there's nothing else. You can see nothing but fields in all directions and a Prada store. It is the strangest thing. But there's stuff like that all over the country that people just don't know about, or you drive by and you're like, what's that strange thing over there? So you look it up in the app and it'll give you what is it, who built it, what's the history of it, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And so we saw that. We saw, I think, coming through Wyoming, these two giant cutouts of cowboys across the road, having a gunfight across the road. And these are like 30-foot tall wooden cutouts. As it turns out, two brothers own the land and they were feuding at one point. And an artist thought this was interesting. And so they put these large wooden cutouts, with the permission of the family, obviously, about these two brothers feuding on opposite sides of the road.
One was named Hatfield, the other was named McCoy.
It's quite possible, actually. It wasn't the right region for that. So
Texas is definitely an interesting and weird, strange place. One
thing I enjoyed when I went to the Dakotas, this is when I was in high school. I traveled with my uncles. For a couple of different summers, we travel in the summer. They're both teachers around the United States. They had a camper on a pickup truck, and we just travel all over the U.S. But going to the Dakotas and seeing the Black Hills and then seeing Mount Rushmore, that's Americana. It's all cool stuff. It's really amazing stuff to see.
That's because all the cool stuff is east of the Mississippi River. That's all. So a friend of mine lost some money to me the other day. He goes, I said, where's most of the people live in the United States, east or west of the Mississippi? So it's easy. It's west. I mean, that's California. I said, okay, you owe me bucks now. I said, it's not even close. I said, 200-something million of us live on the east side of the Mississippi River. We're all jammed up on this side. Well, I mean, the heartland is 11% of the country live on the west coast. I mean, the middle of the country from Mississippi until you get to California, it's pretty much a desert or Rocky Mountains. There's not much out there. I did like the Continental Divide. They got a great hamburger place there, right? It's on Interstate 20. Great hamburger place. That's right at the Continental Divide. What's that? Raymond, where are you? Seattle, Washington. Oh, I feel for you, my brother. How you doing up there? It's what question you got for us? Well, either one, John or Jessica could probably answer this. I could probably answer it, but so he's wanting to know if he can just take just random objects and try to write a story about it.
Go for it, Jessica.
That's actually a really good writing exercise. And it's a really good writing exercise to promote creativity and to expand your horizons on how you think of storytelling. So yes, you absolutely can. And the more you practice that kind of thing, the better you get at it.
That's one of the exercises that they get when they're doing before the 24-hour story. They're given a random object, that the instructor passes around. You get one time they got an ice cube, but sometimes there's just a bottle cap. There's a broken mirror. There's all kinds of little gadgets, but they're just different things to spark different ideas. They may or may not ever make it in the story, but it starts. It's a prompt, that gets you going on this stuff. So that's absolutely a great way to go about it.
Yes, because that lady, I can't remember her name again, but she was the one who handed me that sheet and all the little things that went along. You pick this and you go to this number, you pick
Yeah.
that, you go to that number. That actually helped quite a bit, actually.
Hmm.
What was her name? I have become just crappy with names over the years. Excuse my language, people.
That was come on, John. She was a winner in volume 1. She was in the very first book. She's a judge. She's been a judge for a couple decades.
She's a really nice lady too. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah,
I'll have to go look on the film now and find her name. No, Raymond, I honestly can't remember. John will find it. I can't remember her name. But it was a cool exercise. Well, you got to remember, I'm not part of the class. I'm press, so I can participate. They don't mind if I participate. And she asked me the first time, would you like to participate? And then I said no. Then she come by. She goes, you look really interested. You sure you don't want to participate? I said, yeah. Let me sit down with y'all and try this out.
Yes, Nina Creaky Hoffman. That was Nina.
And she's really patient too. I got to give her credit for that, because everybody's wanting to swap items and stuff. And can I have that? Can I have this? It's like somebody was handing out the Monopoly pieces. I've seen some good stories come out of that, though. I really did. So it's a lot of fun to watch. It really is a lot of fun to watch all of this. And so how did you feel, Jessica, when you got your first book published? I mean, were you like, okay, is this real, or somebody just playing tricks on my ass? What's going on here? Because I know some people, it's like, oh yeah, and sometimes it's kind of surreal feeling. I don't want to win my first award. It was. Go ahead.
It's an interesting question. So the first nonfiction book I did, the first book I did was actually a nonfiction book, and I think it hits a little differently, because I was like, hey, I'm proud of this. This is cool, but it wasn't surreal. When I finished my first novel and saw that for the first time, 300 pages of stuff directly out of my head, that was an entirely different feeling. And so I would say my first novel was really a wow, like that came out of my head. That's wild. Whereas my first nonfiction book was like, hey, this is cool. It's very different between the two classes of book.
Well, yeah, I can see, because one's nonfiction, so it's not necessarily imagination. The other one, is all you. It's all coming from you. Wherever you get the idea, it doesn't really matter, because it's still everything from that point is going to be you. It's I'm actually jealous of any author, any illustrator. It's a talent that I wish I had. I watch some of y'all write like it's just nothing. I'm like, you blankety people. Was it Pete? No, I'm serious. I'm jealous. I mean, they're well, I do so much research. I wish I could write, because I could have probably put out like 5 or 6 books now. But it's watching a really good author is just amazing to me, because they can sit there and come out with it. It's like they're pulling it out of thin air.
Now, just maybe, Jessica, you can provide a little bit of insight too, because some people, when they read a book, first, oh wow, I love this author, they're not familiar with the timeline, what their curve was to get to where they are, where they're like, oh wow, that author. So a little bit maybe talking about, like, when you first start, being willing to throw away the first however much to be able to build a voice and actually get something that you're proud of, that's publishable.
The journey is very different for different people, but it's a good question. So my first novel, I rewrote the entire novel 5 times before I felt like it was, and that was before I sent it to an editor. And then I sent it to an editor and then had to go through all the edits for the 5th version of the book that I put out. So this took a long time for my first book. I would say the first novel. I think the first novel that I did took a solid 5 years to write. The second time around, it has been equally challenging. It will be, I'm doing it differently this time. I learned from the first time. And so this time I'm putting together the outline first, and then COVID happened, and that kind of threw me off my writing game, as it were. But now that I'm getting back into it, hopefully I will not have to rewrite the entire book 5 times. But like, I've already got 40,000 words written in this book, that I started out doing that before I did the outline. And so I'm going to probably throw out I don't know, all but about 10,000 words of that 40,000 that I've already written, and, go from there to get the final draft, or the final first draft, I should say, of the second novel. And so it's very different depending on, who you are. My nonfiction doesn't take nearly that, because it's a topic that I know. You can research it, you can use other materials, and that helps a lot for the nonfiction. It's honestly much easier if you're familiar with the topic.
Right.
But for short stories, it's a very different journey. Short stories don't take quite the level of planning and quite the level of outlining that's necessary for a 300 or 400 page book. So it is very different. And then I know other authors who, they just sit down, they work without an outline, they write out the first draft. It takes them 2 months, and I am just looking at them going, "Wow, that is amazing." And it's good, it still is a first draft. You still have to go through the editing process, but people's talent level and how they approach things, is just very individualistic. And
Right.
so I'm gonna go with, there is no wrong method, as long as it's a method that works for you, that allows you to actually get your work out, if you're wanting to be a professional author. And always pushing yourself forward in that regard.
Yeah.
So deleting 30,000 words out of a novel is not a backward step. It's still helping make your book better.
Yeah. I've seen several critiques, from established authors saying, okay, your book starts here at page 245, so lose the first, they're like, wow, okay. And then when they finally realize that, okay, that's actually when the book starts, because people they're trying to ramp up. And then the first thing actually begins right there. But it's just, and probably too, as you get more experience on writing the books, your 5 years comes down to 2 years, then comes down to 1 year, then comes down to, at some point, okay, I can whip it out in 6 months or whatever. People like Tim Powers, he takes a year to do a book. Kevin Anderson, he's that month, 2 months. He's just like pumps up. Dean Wesley Smith, he writes 80,000 words a month. So he's got his own magazine he publishes plus his books. So, different people have different things that they do and different tools. But Dean's been writing also for 40 plus years. So he's also picked up speed because he's, been there, done that so many times that he's got the drill down. And so he's no longer thinking about where he's typing or thinking about the syntax. He's just like flowing the story.
I know his wife writes. Have they ever written anything together?
Yeah. I don't think that Chris Rush too, as well as that's so. They both write. I don't think they've written stories together. They just have same genres. I don't know that they've written like Kevin and Rebecca have.
I don't think I've ever asked either one of them. I've met both of them, at events and whatnot. But I don't know that I've ever asked them that question. That is.
I asked him last time we were at BarCon, but we got interrupted before he could answer me. Yeah, I'll catch him this year. I'll ask him again. But
yeah,
I had asked him, and he was getting ready to answer me, but I don't know if it was yes or no. I don't want to speak for him because I really have not a clue. Because I had just found out that his wife had written. So I was asking about his wife, and he was telling me about her. And I said, "Well, have y'all written anything together?" And then a bunch of groupies that I asked earlier if they wanted to come sit and mess with Kevin and Dean came over, and I said, "Well, I'm gonna get out of here. Y'all have fun. I'll talk to y'all later tonight." And because it's different for me, I have more access to him. So, and I have access to him after and before, so it's a little easier. So I don't want to get in their way of. I tell them all the time when I first meet everybody, it's like, look, if there's anybody you want to talk to and you're scared to approach them, just grab me in a breezeway and I'll introduce y'all. Because sometimes they think John's intimidating. Sometimes, like, get the hell out of here, John's as sweet as chocolate cake. Yeah, I've had a couple of them say that. I guess because you're the president, that's why. I don't think it's anything other than that. I think it's just because you're the big kahuna is all I think it is.
Got it.
Because I was like, John, introduce you to everybody in the damn place. What are you talking about?
Well, it's because John's a celebrity, and so people are intimidated by that.
I was just surprised because I know John. I've been knowing him now for a few years now, but it was surprising. It was the second year when somebody had said, oh, we shouldn't be bothering John. I said, if you see him, you want to talk to somebody, he'll introduce you. I said, now don't go wasting the man's time because he's busy as hell. I was like, but I said, if not, just grab me. I said, I'll introduce you to anybody you want to introduce to. They were at one of the barbecues and they were wanting to talk to Dean about it wasn't anything about writing. It was about how do you run a company. It was more about what's a C corp, what's an S corp, what's a corporation,
Yeah,
stuff
because
like
he
that.
definitely does that. That's one of his
And
lectures.
he definitely knows it. And
yeah.
so I said, well, I said, come on over. And I said, yeah, it was 5 of them. I said, come stand here. I said, Dean, I said, my company's listed as an S corp. I said, what can you explain to these different guys what they should have right now? Which they don't need anything. They just need a limited liability when you're first starting out. And so he broke it down from limited liability all the way up to a corporation for him. And they definitely had a better understanding of what they should be doing and how they should be doing it, and when's a good time to switch from one to the other to the other to the other. And he told me, he said, "Look, if y'all start making money and you have a problem," he said, "give me a call." He said, "Just remind me where I met you." You don't have to say that. So it's nice. They learn a lot. I mean, they learn a lot. It's not just about being an author. It's about how to
the business of writing and the business of art. I mean, that's the key thing too, is how do you make a living at that, and how do you avoid getting like boned?
Yep, how to deal with press. I mean, it's all stuff that they come away with a much better understanding than they would going into it. Jeffrey,
Yeah.
we are not talking about her on this show. Friday nights. Oh, so UF Undercover this week won't be on. The Central Split will be taking its place only because we were how many ever days from election time. So it's the Centralist on Tuesday, on Wednesday, News and Flipside on Friday, and then of course Tuesday night, November 5th, the whole damn staff will be here. Oh no, John, you mean on this network? Oh no, we're not one view. We got libertarians, we got liberals, we got conservatives, we got centrists, we got every politician thing you can think of. It makes for a very interesting political night, is all I can say. No, because we're all friends. Don't get me wrong, it will get heated, but we're all friends and have been working together for a long time, so nobody's gonna get mad at each other. There might be some pouting the next day, depending on who wins. But other than that, it's a lot of fun. It is. So come out. We always look from both sides. We always do it from both sides. Yes. And we have a lot of fun because we do a lot of satire. Yes. You can't help it right now. It's too easy to do satire with. We're not going to mention any names, but with the current people, it's easy to do satire. I'm just saying.
Babylon B is having a great time right now.
Yes. Who's no, just gonna say anything about writing politics. Where'd you get that from? You mean me? Oh no, that's never gonna happen. That no, I'm way too mean to be writing about any they'll be putting me in jail. They will be. Did you hear what he said? Oh no, he's going to jail. No, we're not going there. Martha wants to know if you could give guys. She said, "Oh yeah, we're running low on time, but I own the network, so we can do what I want." Martha wants to know if you could give one single piece of advice. She said, How old are you, Boo? You're 56 years old. So she said, I'm just starting to write. She said, out of the blue, one morning I woke up and just wrote out 10,000 words. She said, I don't know how I did it, but it seems to be flowing now. She said, if you could give me one single piece of advice, what it would be to help me. Wait, what are you writing? Before I ask her this, what is it? Are you writing nonfiction, fiction? So you're writing fiction? Any particular genre? Sci-fi? Okay, I just wanted to ask. All right, I'm going to shut up and let Jessica talk. Go ahead, Jessica. I'm sorry.
So if I could give you one piece of advice, it is to write and actually get it on paper. And there's a lot of advice out of there. You need to write an hour every day. You need to write 500 words every day. You need to write 1,500 words every day. There's a lot of advice out there that is very specific and very rigid. And the truth is, if you can write every day, that's fantastic. But don't let it put so much pressure on you. Oh, I have to write for an hour every day. Okay, that may be too much pressure. Maybe you need to write for 1 page every day or 5 pages every day, but to be flexible and gentle with yourself as you're getting started, but do build up the discipline of some sort of writing schedule and understand that life happens and sometimes it's just not going to happen that day. And you don't need to beat yourself up about it, because if you're beating yourself up about it, that will block your creativity when you try to get back to it the next day, because you'll feel guilty about, well, I didn't do it yesterday, so I have to do twice as much today. No, you need to go with what's going on in your life and what's actually happening, so that you can still make progress forward with your writing. Um, and that is probably the best advice that I both need to live myself and also can put out there for writers that are just getting started, is to be a writer, you have to write.
I've got this one thing we just put up recently. I previewed it, or previewed it at all the recent science fiction conventions we went to, which was advice from Ray Bradbury that we recorded. We found it recently, and so it was recorded at the very first Rise of Future Awards event 40 years ago. And it's very nice. It's only a few minutes long, but he's talking about, you got to love what you're doing. You got to love the genre, love writing. And he said, I started writing when he was, I don't know, 8 years old or 12 years old. I wrote every day of my life, even if it was just a little bit. He just wrote because I just loved it. And it's a really nice interview that he did. It's on the Writers of the Future YouTube page. And we've got it there in the section called Advice from a Master. And so that we've got various, famous writers and artists who have done interviews that we've had. We had Anne McCaffrey on there, and then we got him, and then we also have a few others. But it's just, like whatever gets you going. And then also one I've thrown a piece of advice too is take the online writing workshop that we've got on writersofthefuture.com, because that takes you through the steps of writing a story. So, you can get, you can write where you end up with 400 pages and 300 pages you throw away. But if you have a little bit of training on what you're doing, you can avoid some of that up front, so you know how to put together a story, how to start, how to change, how to do all the different pieces of a story to make it work. And those essays and the videos, they're for short stories, but they also apply for novels too. The difference with the novel versus short stories, a short story has like one timeline, and a novel can have multiple. You can have that weave together. Short story, there's just not enough space for you to have more than one primary start, change, and end. You've got many in a novel, and some of these big epic ones have many, like the Brandon Sanderson type stuff. He goes on and on and on. Or so that's one thing I recommend too, is just do that. Just get some tips from other guys that have really proven that they can write and like teaching new writers.
That's a really excellent workshop. So I would also encourage people to take a look at that. You guys have so much good resources over at the Writers of the Future page for people getting started with the writing.
Good, thank you. Yeah, we work hard to provide that, and it's all free. Everything in that riseofthefuture.com website is free, whether it's the forum, which is free to enter, and then we've got the podcast, we've got blog, we've got obviously the writing contest and art contest, and you can also see the past 40 years of the books and winners, and then we've got the each of the different volumes, all the judges. You can see the judges going all the way back to the very beginning, like Frank Herbert way back, and Anne McCaffrey at the beginning, and then now Brian Herbert, Frank's son, and Todd McCaffrey and son are judges, plus amazing just roster of just super nice people.
You get to talk to Todd. He's a lot of fun to talk to. He's a lot of fun to talk to.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my all-time favorite lectures y'all did there was with Todd and Wesley, with Dean Wesley.
Yeah, that's funny.
It was hilarious. No, they were arguing. So Todd brought some banners to put behind him. Really nice banners, probably expensive ones. They argued the whole day about should you need them? Do you need them? Don't you need them? Because everybody in the room was asking, well, should we have them? Should we have them? Oh man, it was killing me. I said, well, I love y'all, but I got to get some lunch because y'all killing me.
It's one thing you get out of other judges, that there's no one way to do it. Like you were saying, that Jessica is like whatever works for you, but you'll get, Jody Lanai, who's the coordinating judge. Well, she's really big at conventions. She sees the importance of And Tim Power doesn't like conventions. He doesn't. He just says, "Look, I'll write the book, and my publisher needs to do it." He's the ultimate in traditional. And then you got people like Dean, who says that traditional is like the bane of any existence for a writer. You need to have self-publish and indie publishing. And he does 7 Kickstarters a year. Kickstarter is a big thing. I mean, you had Brandon did a Kickstarter during the pandemic and made $42 million. It's the record of any Kickstarter of any category. So it's just, things are definitely changing right now in publishing. So just like what works with you. And that's the only thing that's really good too about the podcast. I've interviewed like Tom Doherty, who's the founder of Tor, which is the biggest science fiction publisher. And then several people that have done, the indie. I've interviewed Kindlepreneur, talking about publishing on Kindle. And then with Ingram Spark, I've interviewed the guys that run that program at Ingram. So just whatever you're interested in, we've got something in the podcast that can help you, find answers to what you're looking for.
And I would say
this wonderful person named Jessica Brawner on a podcast some weeks ago about, a clever idea of taking your short stories and turning it almost like a novel, which is clever how you did that. So it wasn't just an anthology.
Well, thank you, John. And I had a really great time talking to you a couple weeks ago. That was a lot of fun. And I was trying to, with that, hit. There's a certain group of readers who don't like short stories and prefer novels. And then there's a certain group who like short stories and don't have time to read novels. I'm trying to, aim that for both of them. So
right. That was good.
That was good. No, Jenny, we're getting ready to go. Why? What's up? No, we got to get out of here. I need dinner. I'm hungry. I got fresh gumbo waiting on me.
Oh
yes, man! It's been smelling up the studio and the house all day. It's about to kill me. Yes, I hate when she does that, man. When she knows when I'm working back here, it just smells. And I try to lock it because the studio's airtight. I mean, not airtight, but soundproof, so I can close it down and make it where you can almost not smell it. But oh man, it's killing me. What? Oh, it's rightintothefuture.com. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all that stuff is, You don't buy stuff at Rise of the Future. There's links I'll send you to Galaxy Press or to Amazon to be able to buy Rise of the Future books. This one here, volume 40, is the most recent one, and it's each volume has stories, that you can enjoy and discover your next new favorite authors.
No, Pete, again, rightintothefuture.com. That's where you go to take the free course. That's where everything's at. If you're going to buy something, galaxypress.com. Yes, if you tell them Joe sent you, they'll give you an extra $5 added on your bill. No, really. Yes, it's a donation is what it is. No, just kidding you. Just kidding you. It's galaxypress.com. If you really want to buy something, I mean, you can go anywhere and buy it. All the major bookstores carry it.
Yeah.
I just try to get y'all to go over there because I'd rather see you go over there. But it doesn't matter. I mean, they're going to get their money no matter what. But remember, it helps to fund the Writers of the Future thing every year. So you have to get out there, buy a book. And I tell you all this every year. Buy a book, buy one for your grandmama, buy one for your uncle. No, I know what y'all going to do. Y'all going to buy one and pass it around to 20 relatives. I know how this is going to. I know it's a bad economy, but it's going to get better. Just have faith. No, we got to go. Oh, any place they can find you, Jessica? Any websites or Facebook pages or?
Absolutely. My website is www.jessicabrawner.com. All of my books are available on Amazon, and Tattoos on Dead Tree Flesh is on sale this month for spooky season. Sale ends on October 31st. And so Facebook, I am at J.A. Brawner. That's most of my Twitter and Facebook and social handles is at J.A. Brawner.
Do me a favor, send me the website to iCarCox.net, and we got a panel show coming up in a couple of days, just before Halloween. So I'll post it on there while we're doing the panel show.
Absolutely.
That way they can hear about it. Yes, Bruce, we're doing a panel. It's Halloween. What do you expect? I got a lot of crazy paranormal and UFO hosts on the network. We got a lot of other strange shows too, but no, it's Halloween season. We're not getting out of that. You can forget that. What What do you mean? Michelle Sturcey is like one of the most famous people in the country. Jesus, she's been on more TV shows than I can even think of. Yes, but anyway, come by and check it out. We're gonna all be getting scary. Everybody will be dressed up. It's we only allow drinking on the network 3 nights a year, and that's one of them. Yes. No, I'm serious. No, we're strict about that. No smoking weed, no drinking while you're on air. I don't care if you smoke weed, and I don't care if you drink, just not while you're live. No, you know the rules. Because we've had issues with hosts in the past. That's why. That's why we have the rule. I'm just telling y'all. There's only 3 years we allow it. That's one of them. So come by and check it out. I'm pretty sure Michelle will do the All Hallow Eve show. So that's always a lot of fun. We got a lot of scary hosts that know a lot of scary things. So come check it out. Mark, to answer your question, the Gray Zone will air on this. Now, remember, you can only see the Gray Zone either when it's live or following this show. Other than that, it's only for sale. And right now, it's not even up for sale. I'm not even putting it up for sale right now. I will eventually put it back up because there's a lot of research goes in that show. But be sure to check out Jay. Jay, come. So Friday night, I'm here with News on the Flip Side. Monday night, I'm here with Science and Beyond. Wednesday night, I'm here with UF Undercover. And then Saturday, I'm here with the Arthur's Quill. So you catch me on any of those nights talking about a whole realm of different things. But don't forget, John comes on. John opens for us today. Now, I don't know how long that's going to stay like, but right now, John's opening on Saturday. So you can catch Writers of the Future. He's the first show on Writers of the Future. You can come see him. Show's doing really well, so you can pop by and listen to. No, you can't talk to him, but you can come by and say hi. Drop a thing, it'll go back. And then, of course, Echo Chernick is next with The Professional. Echo's got a lot of good art, a lot of fun. She's a lot of fun to talk to. No, she's crazier than John and I. Oh, yes, by far. I love her to death, but I'm just saying. And then of course,
she's the coordinating judge for the Illustrator contest too.
Yes, she is. She is coordinated. That's what I was saying earlier. Both of the coordinating judges were women. Jody Lanai and Echo Chernick are both. One's the authors and one's for the illustrators. They're both great ladies. I know both of them personally. I've talked to both of them many, many times. I would trust them with anything they pick out implicitly. I have no doubt that they're excellent at what they do.
Yep.
So be sure to check everybody out. One more time, again, writersofthefuture.com, galaxypress.com. Catch us there. We're going to get out of here. You can catch the Gray Zone. Will be on in about 15 minutes after the commercials and promos played. So you can check it out until Wednesday has some, or until Monday has some fun. No, I won't be talking politics until Wednesday. Yes. Not on this show. I tell y'all this every week. Not on this show. Good night, everybody, and stay tuned for the Gray Zone with Michelle DeRoche and myself. Oh, man.